Greetings, everyone. My name is Jonathan Bailey, and I'm from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And today is Friday, therefore we're going to be talking about technology, not doing the usual conversation about copyright and/or plagiarism. There was an interesting ruling in the Google Oracle case, but we'll come back to that Monday. I'm pretty sure you've read about it elsewhere in the news. You don't need my opinion on it that urgently. Um, so one of the things that's been going on since I got the new MacBook after the old one, died on me, was basically I've noticed a lot of the software I was using is expired and out of date. This is kind of unfortunate because a lot of the software that was on my old MacBook was actually legacy software from that MacBook, which I think I had for about 2.5 years before it met with its unfortunate end. And then there was a Mac Mini that I had 6 years before that, that also continued the trend. So I had a lot of old software on there that had to be updated. In some cases, I had to pay for an update license. Even though this older version was perfectly functional, I was perfectly happy with it. But I've taken the opportunity to explore some new stuff as far as software goes. And one of the things I've been wondering is whether or not my quote-unquote laser-like focus, if you will, on Opera, Chrome, and Firefox, and occasionally Safari, has meant that I've maybe missed some alternative visions for web browsers. Maybe something completely different, completely unique and revolutionary has slipped under the radar. And so I learned about two different web browsers that are available on Mac OSX. Both of them are free, and both are trying to do something that is at least slightly different when it comes to web browsing. Maybe they're not totally revolutionary in and of themselves, but are at least doing something interesting. The first one is called Sleipnir, and by the way, that is how they pronounce it on their site, so we're running with it. Sleipnir looks like this. It is an alternative browser. It's WebKit based, as both of these are, and it comes in two different versions, blue and black. Both are free. Blue is the version available in the App Store. It has much more limited functionality due to App Store limitations, and the black is a traditional Mac download that you get and install yourself through a DMG file, I believe. Well, basically what you'll notice about it immediately is that up there at the top they have a different style tab bar. The tabs are centered in the tab bar, and each of them portray an image of the page. You have standard controls there. I don't know how well you can see it, but the URL bar is actually in the upper right hand corner. You have to click on it to activate it and get it to come out. But the big thing about Sleipnir, unfortunately I didn't have time to do a full screencast, but maybe I will later, but is that they really favor mouse gestures, and they're trying to simplify the idea of tab organization and tab structure. And for example, a two-finger swipe will get you between tabs. You can also pinch to zoom and do all kinds of other cool stuff to make tab navigation a lot easier. And it is pretty cool, but I didn't really play with it that much. And the reason is there was two critical problems with it for me. First, and this is a problem that you're going to see over and over again with these alternative browsers, they don't have extensions for LastPass and Dago, things that I need pretty critically, even though Opera, Safari, Firefox, Chrome all have it. These browsers don't, and unfortunately in the case of Sleipnir and also Raven/Robin, which we're coming to, they don't also support bookmarklets, so there's no workaround for it. So I had basically no access to these services, and there were two services I depend upon very heavily when working. The other problem it had was that there was no way to open up a new window. Hitting Command N would open up a new tab rather than a new window, which is very peculiar. But this is an understandable thing because of the way the structure works, how you switch between tabs. I don't really know how a new window would work. I've been trying to figure that one out. But the inability to open up a new window means my dual monitor display is more or less useless. So I ended up not really spending too much time with Sleipnir because I think even though it was doing some pretty cool stuff, the advancements it's trying to bring felt more like a Chrome extension or a Firefox extension than it felt like a whole new browser. Some pretty cool stuff. I'm proud of what they're doing. I definitely want them to keep doing it. And they have been updating it very recently. In fact, I think the last update was on the 9th of May, so pretty recent updates. But all in all, not ready to be my default browser yet, so good effort, but I personally think you should take a look at it, but maybe just look at it with the idea that you're going to play around with it for 20 minutes or so, then get rid of it. The other one is named Robin, currently named Robin. Now, this is kind of an unfortunate naming situation for me. Its first name, and in fact the name of the site, is Raven.io, but the first name of it was Raven, which was my old poetry name from way back when, and the new name, the name it changed to, is the real-life name of my ex-girlfriend from that era. Not a good trade, in my book. Not a good trade. But anyways, Raven/Robin is a new browser, and here's the screenshot of it. And basically, it tries to do something very, very different with browsing. The idea being site-specific browsing. Now, what you'll notice with this is that even though the tab interface is fairly stock, the tab bar comes down below the address bar whenever you open up a new tab. But you'll notice that weird-looking sidebar looks something like Rockmelt would do. But rather than trying to be like a notification center, those are actually browsers within browsers. It's kind of a hard experience to describe, but for example, clicking Firefox, you will actually remove the tabs that were in the Home tab, which is where I'm at now, and you'll get nothing but the, you click the Facebook tab, rather, you'll get nothing but the actual Facebook tabs. And it took me a little while to really understand what they were trying to do. It was rather confusing at first. But I think they're trying to solve a very specific problem with surfing, and it's actually a pretty big one, depending on how you actually browse the web. The problem was, you probably have a series of tabs open, like, for example, I had there Facebook, Twitter, Google+, probably email, a few other things that are open almost non-stop. And you open links in those, and they go into the tab bar. And though Chrome and Firefox all make various efforts to try to organize where you get these from, they aren't able to really do it. And if you're not able to remember where you opened what from, it can be very confusing, and that creates a problem. So what I think they're trying to solve here is basically saying, okay, this is your Facebook browser. Anything you open from Facebook will stay within the confines of this browser. It functions a lot like a new window, but within the same browser window. It's kind of confusing, but basically it keeps your tabs together in a group related to the task at hand. And theoretically, you could create apps or tabs, and that's one of the things I don't like, is they call these things apps, even though they're not really applications per se. They have some app functionality in the sidebar there, but they're not particularly apps per se. But long story short, what they do is they keep your tab bar clean and focused on the task at hand, and that's actually pretty cool and pretty handy. And I wasn't able to make Robin really work for me. It felt very snappy, felt very lively, and I really did like this functionality. I found that in the little bit of time I did use it streamlined things, but the inability to add bookmarklets once again thwarted me from using services that I need. I have to walk away from it for now, but I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this one and possibly switching to it whenever they get the functionality I need. But I'm not terribly optimistic, because you look at the Google Plus page, you look at the Facebook page, they haven't done any updates since January, and while I would like to believe that's been because they've been nose to the grindstone trying to get this next update out, I'm not terribly optimistic. I really hope they come out with a new version. They talk about implementing this very interesting sounding feature where you can actually create buttons in the menu which will run JavaScript like bookmarklets. Very exciting idea. I'm all for that, and I think it'd be a great implementation of the bookmarklet system, but they've got to release the next version, and they don't seem to be doing much or communicating what they're doing very heavily. So I'm hoping against hope the developers who had to do a name change, and they did it very sloppily, are able to get their act together and finish this browser and make something really, really cool out of it. I think it's got a lot of potential here. I'm very excited about it. But, so there you go. Sleipnir and Raven/Robin, two alternative browsers for OS X. I'll have links to where you can download them below in the YouTube page. Already run over. Knew this one would be a little bit long. But I just want to say that this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.